Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 8133 Southeast Kinnaman Street here in Hillsboro, located inside the garage. Doing a rescope here, going through a 4-inch ABS clean out. We're taking a look at a couple issues, well, or potential issues anyway. We notated last time there was an extremely minor belly, about a 32nd of an inch, and then a possibly compromised pipe joint right as the line connects to the city main. So that point in time, it was so new. It was like we're going through some of the standing water right now. We'll see how that drains out here in just a minute. And then at the connection to the main, it was hard to tell. Sometimes you'll get a leftover grease substance called duck butter immediately after a line is installed, and it was hard to tell what we had at the pipe joint. If it was a bunch of duck butter with dirt stuck to it, or if it was actual dirt migrating through the pipe joint. Alrighty, we have reached the main there. We're going to let the line drain out here for a moment. Alright, line's almost done draining here. So if you look at the pipe joint there, you can see that little bit of substance up at the top right-hand corner. I mean, if this were a square shape anyway, the top right-hand corner. You've got a couple little items protruding from the joint. What I'm not seeing, though, is any signs of groundwater intrusion. That's usually the easiest, most bonehead sign. If you've got a joint open to the ground, typically speaking anyway, you're going to have very obvious streaking going down the sidewall of the pipe where groundwater has intruded, and it'll leave water stains behind. So what that's looking like to me there is, it's possibly excess glue, maybe part of a fern coat that's potentially bulged through the joint a little bit. And sometimes, when these things are being first installed, I mean, it's not uncommon to get random little bits of something stuck to the ends of the pipe joints, or the pipe ends. But I'm not seeing any obvious signs where that joint is open to the ground. It just looks like it could still be some grease substance there. There's a lot of possibilities of what that could be, but I'm not seeing any obvious signs that joint is open. Nothing appears to have changed there. And a little bit of movement here at this joint, somewhat of a slip, but joint's closed off to the ground. Again, no signs or anything that shows me that joint is open. It's slipped by about a quarter to a half of an inch maybe. Those fern coats have a lot of overlap on them. We've got a little bit of water coming down line here. We're going to have to wait for that to drain off completely so we can take a look at the belly and the line. Alright, we're going through that area there that I had referred to last time. Everything has stayed exactly the way it was. As you can see in this area here, it doesn't matter how much standing water you're talking about, whether it's a 32nd of an inch or 2 inches. You can see how you're getting a little bit of the grease deposits there on the sidewalls. Grease likes to do that. Once it hits water, it starts to harden up, but it also floats to the top of the water and starts to stick to the sidewall. So anyway, I've seen people in the span of 9 months on a brand new home develop an inch-thick layer of grease buildup. You're doing pretty darn good here. I just wanted to point that out, mostly just so you can see. Grease will collect anywhere in the line if you put enough of it down your line, but it especially likes to do so in any amount of standing water at all. So just be mindful of that more than anything. You just want to try to avoid putting a grease down the line as much as possible. What you have there is extremely minor. It's nothing that needs drain cleaning or anything like that. So anyway, all the pipe here all appears to be buttoned up. It's not an absolutely perfect install. You have a little bit of a slip there at the transition joint. That joint shows no signs of being open. I wouldn't expect to see it. Where you've got a coupler outside the pipe that holds those two pieces of pipe together. Sometimes when they go to either bury it, and sometimes they just don't slam the pipe joints all the way up against each other when it's first installed, and it was just affixed in place that way. So to call it a slip, I'm not even sure it actually slipped. It may not have been butted up tight to begin with, but there's no signs at all that that joint is open to the ground, and neither is the one at the connection to the main lateral. You got a little bit of substance protruding from the joint, but that's about it. It's hard to say what it is. It's jet black in color, so that's not an indicative color of ground coming through the pipe. You know, sometimes when they're dropping those pieces of pipe into the ground, they'll scrape a little bit of something, you know, whatever it is. It might have been a little bit of asphalt. There's a lot of possibilities, and they put the pipe together and you just have this little bit of substance sticking off the joint there. But aside from that, no signs whatsoever those joints are open to the ground. But the first thing that generally tells you a joint is open, especially when it's very questionable and hard to tell, and groundwater will seep through just about any amount of space that you can give it, especially when it's buried deep under hydraulic pressure. No drip stains or anything. So as it sits here today, everything appears to be intact, buttoned up tight, and I don't see any signs of progression. Got good flow to the main lateral. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time.